The winding road up into the Colorado Rockies felt like a ribbon twisting through endless green, the kind of drive that made you forget the flat, noisy world below. Elena gripped the steering wheel of her old SUV a little tighter as the pines thickened around them, their needles whispering in the breeze like old secrets. It had been a year since her husband, Mark, had been taken from them in that senseless crash on the interstate, gone in a blur of screeching tires and flashing lights. At 35, Elena was still piecing herself back together, working long shifts at the library in Denver to keep the lights on for her daughter, Mia. But this trip? This was supposed to be their reset button. In the passenger seat, Mia fidgeted with the frayed edge of her backpack, her 11-year-old eyes wide with a mix of excitement and nerves. "Mom, how much longer? My legs are going to turn into pretzels." Mia's voice had that bright lilt, the one that always pulled Elena out of her darker thoughts. She was all gangly limbs and wild curls, a kid who collected rocks and dreamed of being an astronaut. "Almost there, sweetie. Just another 10 minutes. Elena glanced in the rear view at Lila, Mia's cousin and her temporary sidekick for the summer. At 18, Lila was fresh out of high school, with a backpack full of art supplies and a restless energy that reminded Elena of her younger self. Lila's mom, Elena's aunt, had begged her to let the girl tag along, saying it would be good for both of them after Lila's rough breakup. "You okay back there, Lil?" Lila looked up from her phone, which had lost signal miles ago. "Yeah, just sketching the trees. This place is like something out of a fairy tale." "Creepy cute, you know?" She flashed a grin, but Elena caught the flicker of uncertainty in her eyes. Lila had her own shadows, family pressures back home, whispers of her dad's gambling debts that no one talked about openly. The cabin came into view around a final bend, nestled against a slope like it had grown there naturally. It was nothing grand. 2 stories of weathered cedar with a sagging wraparound porch and windows that stared out like watchful eyes. Elena's uncle Harlan had left it to her in his will 6 months back. Harlan, the reclusive brother of her late father, whom she'd only met a handful of times at awkward holidays, he'd lived alone up here for decades, a former park ranger who preferred the company of maps to people. The lawyer had called it a generous inheritance, but Elena saw it as a chance to breathe away from the pitying stares in Denver. They piled out into the crisp mountain air, the scent of pine and damp earth hitting them like a cool wave. Mia raced ahead, her sneakers crunching on the gravel path. "It's huge! Can I pick my room?" The front door creaked open with a key that felt heavy in Elena's hand, revealing a cozy interior, a stone fireplace dominating the living room, mismatched furniture that smelled faintly of mothballs, and shelves lined with dusty books and odd trinkets, compasses, faded maps, a carved wooden bear. Lila whistled low. "Ooh, this is awesome. Kind of like a time capsule." She dropped her bag and started poking around, while Elena hauled in the groceries. Mia claimed the smaller bedroom upstairs, with its slanted ceiling and view of the misty forest beyond. Elena took the master down the hall, a simple space with a quilted bed and a desk overlooking the porch. Lila bunked on the pull-out couch in the living room, insisting she didn't mind. As the afternoon sun dipped lower, casting long shadows through the trees, they unpacked and settled into a rhythm. Elena fired up the kitchen. Nothing fancy, just pasta with sauce from a jar and a salad from the cooler. The cabin's isolation sank in. No neighbors in sight, just the endless woods rolling up the mountain. Cell service was a joke up here. They'd have to drive to the ranger station if anything went wrong. But that was the point, right? No distractions, just them. Over dinner at the scarred oak table, the conversation flowed easy for the first time in weeks. Mia chattered about school friends and her latest rock collection, holding up a shiny quartz she'd found on the drive. Lila shared sketches from her notebook, laughing about her botched attempt at capturing a deer they'd spotted earlier. Elena watched them, a warmth blooming in her chest despite the ache that never quite left. To new beginnings, she toasted with her water glass clinking against theirs. Night fell fast in the mountains, the sky bruising purple before the stars punched through. They played a round of board games by lantern light. The electricity was spotty, another quirk of the old place, giggling over Mia's dramatic losses. But as the clock ticked past 9, Mia yawned and headed to bed, Leela stretching out on the couch with a book. Elena stepped onto the porch for a moment alone, the cool air nipping at her skin. The forest was alive with sounds, crickets chirping, an owl hooting somewhere distant. It felt peaceful, almost healing. She was about to head inside when a rumble echoed overhead, thunder rolling in from the peaks. Rain started as a patter, then a downpour, drumming on the roof like impatient fingers. Elena lingered, watching the sheets of water blur the trees. That's when she saw it, a flicker of movement at the edge of the woods just beyond the porch light's reach. A shadow, tall and indistinct, slipping between the trunks before vanishing into the dark. Her heart skipped. Probably a deer or a raccoon startled by the storm. She shook it off, stepping back inside and locking the door with a decisive click. But as she climbed the stairs to check on Mia, the unease lingered, a quiet knot in her stomach. Little did she know, the shadows were just beginning to stir. The morning after the storm dawned crisp and golden, the kind of light that made the pines gleam like they had been polished overnight. Elena woke to the smell of coffee brewing, Lila's doing, bless her, and the sound of Mia humming in the kitchen. She stretched, the events of the night before already fading like a half-remembered dream. That shadow? Just her imagination, jumpy from the drive and the unfamiliar creaks of the cabin. Today was for shaking off the cobwebs. "Breakfast burritos!" Mia announced as Elena entered the room, proudly sliding a plate across the counter. The girl had inherited her dad's knack for whipping up simple meals, a small comfort that still stung. Lila was at the table, sketching the rain-slicked porch. "Slept like a rock," she said. "This place is magic." After eating, they laced up boots for a hike. The trail started right from the cabin's backyard, a narrow path winding through ferns and boulders, the air thick with the scent of wet earth. Mia led the way, collecting pine cones and pointing out secret fairy houses in the underbrush. Elena and Lila trailed behind, the conversation turning to lighter things, Lila's upcoming college classes, Mia's dreams of space camp. But Elena couldn't shake a prickling at the back of her neck, like eyes on them from the trees. Halfway up, they paused at a clearing with a view of the valley below, the distant peaks hazy in the sun. "Uncle Harlan must have loved this," Elena said, unpacking sandwiches from her pack. As they ate, Lila pulled out an old photo album she'd found on a shelf the night before. "Check this out! Your uncle was a total loner, huh? Look at all these empty landscapes. No people anywhere." The pages were filled with black and white shots. Harlan in ranger gear, standing alone by a river. Misty forests that looked just like the one around them. A few faded portraits of stern-faced relatives Elena vaguely recognized from her childhood. One photo caught her eye. A young man, maybe in his 20s, with features that mirrored her own. Sharp jaw, dark eyes. Scribbled on the back, "Brother lost to the wilds 1985. Elena frowned. Harlan never mentioned a brother. Dad would have said something. Mia peered over. "Maybe he's a ghost, like in those stories." She shivered dramatically, but her eyes sparkled. Lila laughed. "Or just family drama. Everyone's got skeletons." The hike back felt longer, the sun dipping lower and casting the woods in amber. Elena noticed little things. A candy wrapper snagged on a branch that wasn't theirs, a faint musky smell like unwashed clothes hanging in the air. "Probably hikers," she muttered, but doubt crept in. Back at the cabin, they kicked off their boots and collapsed into the living room. Mia wanted to bake cookies, so Elena helped her measure flour while Lila chopped wood for the evening fire. As the afternoon wore on, Elena rummaged through the pantry for dinner fixings and paused. The bag of apples they had brought? Half empty already? She shrugged it off. Mia must have snacked. But when she opened the fridge later, the milk carton was lighter than she remembered, a few drops sloshing at the bottom. "Hey, did you guys have some milk?" she called. Lila shook her head from the porch. "Nah, just water for me." Mia looked guilty. I had a little with my cereal this morning. Elena let it go, but the knot from last night tightened. Dinner was stew simmering on the stove, hearty and warming as the temperature dropped. They ate by the fire, the flames crackling like a storyteller. Mia pulled out the album again, flipping to a page with Harlan's journal entries clipped in. Listen to this. The pines keep my secrets. No one comes uninvited. She giggled, but Elena felt a chill. Sounds lonely. Lila leaned in. You know, Aunt Elena, this trip's good for me too. Back home it's all stress, Mom nagging about my future, Dad's stuff. Her voice trailed off and Elena squeezed her hand. We're all starting over here. No judgments. Night settled in softly, the cabin glowing against the dark woods. They played charades, Mia's wild gestures drawing peals of laughter. But around 10, as Mia headed to brush her teeth, she froze at the stairs. Mom, did you hear that? Elena tilted her head. What, honey? A whisper, like someone's talking outside my window. She rubbed her arms. It's probably the wind, Elena said, leading her upstairs. The room was chilly, the single window fogged from the rain. Elena checked the latch, secure, and tucked Mia in with an extra blanket. Sweet dreams. Yell if you need me. Downstairs, Lila and Elena shared tea on the porch, the boards groaning underfoot. Kids got an imagination, Lila said. Reminds me of me at that age. They talked late, about loss and moving on, the stars wheeling overhead. Elena was dozing on the couch when a soft thump pulled her awake. She sat up, heart pounding. From upstairs, Mia's voice called faintly, Mom, it's whispering again. Elena climbed the stairs, the wood creaking louder than usual. In Mia's room, the girl sat up in bed, eyes wide. Listen. Elena strained. At first, nothing but the house settling. Then, a faint rustling, like leaves brushing, but from inside the wall by the closet. No, not leaves. Words. Too muffled to make out, but insistent, like a murmur carried on the breeze. It's just the trees, Elena whispered, but her skin crawled. She hugged Mia close. Go to sleep. I'll stay till you do. As Mia drifted off, Elena sat vigil, the whispers fading into silence. But when she finally slipped downstairs, a new sound greeted her. A soft scratching from the attic vent in the hallway, deliberate and close. She froze, staring at the grate, and for a split second, in the dim light, two pale eyes blinked back from the darkness. Dawn filtered through the cabin's curtains like a hesitant visitor, painting the walls in pale gold. Elena hadn't slept much after the scratching, tossing on the couch, replaying the eyes in her mind until she convinced herself it was a trick of the shadows, maybe a raccoon in the eaves. But the unease clung like morning mist. She rose early, brewing coffee strong enough to chase away the fog in her head, and woke the others gently. Mia bounded down first, her fears from the night seemingly forgotten in the thrill of pancakes. Can we explore the attic today? Like treasure hunters? Lila yawned from the couch, rubbing her eyes. Attic? This place has one? Count me in. I'm bored of trails already. Elena hesitated, the scratching echoing in her thoughts, but avoidance wouldn't help. Better to face it head on. Sure, but let's eat first. Over breakfast, she steered the talk to safer ground, the album specifically. I want to know more about Uncle Harlan, that photo of the lost brother. It's bugging me. Lila grabbed the book from the shelf. Here, look at this letter tucked in the back. She unfolded a yellowed page, Harlan's spidery handwriting spilling across it. To my dear Elena, if you're reading this, I'm gone. The cabin holds our history, but beware the shadows of kin. My brother vanished years ago, chasing fool's gold in these woods. Don't let the past pull you under. Elena's stomach twisted. Kin? Dad never said anything about a missing uncle. Mia traced the words with her finger. Maybe he got lost for real, like Bigfoot. The girls laughed, but Elena felt the weight. Harlan had been eccentric, sure,
but this hinted at deeper fractures, family secrets buried like roots under the cabin. After cleanup, they tackled the attic. The access was clever, a panel behind the hallway bookshelf disguised as solid wall. Elena tugged it open with a grunt, revealing a narrow ladder ascending into dust-choked darkness. "Flashlights," she commanded, handing them out. Mia went first, her beam dancing like a firefly. Lila followed, coughing at the musty air, and Elena brought the rear, her poker from the fireplace tucked in her belt, just in case. The attic was a time warp, cobwebs draping old trunks, stacks of yellowed newspapers from the 80s, a single bulb swinging from a cord. Sunlight slanted through a small dormer window, illuminating motes that swirled like ghosts. "Whoa!" Mia breathed, poking at a box of rusted tools. Hammers, saws, things that looked like they'd been used for more than carpentry. Lila rifled through a trunk. Clothes? Old ones. Smelled like mildew and something else. Sweat? Elena scanned the space, her light catching on the far wall. A rough partition of plywood, nailed haphazardly. "What's behind there?" She knocked lightly, hollow. Her pulse quickened. As she pressed closer, a faint odor wafted out. Stale. Human. No, couldn't be. Probably storage, she said out loud, but her voice wavered. They spent the morning sorting, unearthing more clues. A crumpled map marked with X's in the woods. Prospect sites, Harlan had noted. And another photo, the same young man from before, arm around a boy who looked eerily like a young Harlan. On the back, Victor and me before the fall. Victor! The name rang no bells, but it stirred a vague memory, her dad's hushed arguments on the phone years ago. By noon, hunger drove them down, but as they descended, Elena noticed something off, the pantry door ajar again. The bread loaf, half gnawed. "Mia, did you—" Mia shook her head vigilantly. Lila frowned. "I locked it last night, I think." Elena forced a smile. Animals. Bears love bread. But doubt gnawed. Cell service was nil, but Lila suggested the old radio in the living room. Neighbor might hear us. They tuned it, static crackling, until a gravelly voice responded. The ranger station, miles away. Break-ins? Yeah, happens. Squatters in the off-season. Keep doors locked. The afternoon brought rain again, trapping them inside. Mia and Lila turned detective, scouring the cabin for clues. In the kitchen floorboard, loose, they pried up a note, handwriting shaky. "This is mine now. Leave or pay." Elena's blood ran cold. "Kids, stay close." Tension simmered into argument at dinner. Lila paced. "We should go, Aunt Elena. This isn't safe." Mia clung to her. "But the cabin is ours, Mom. Please." Elena rubbed her temples, grief and fear blurring. "One more day. I need to understand this. For Harlan, for us." Lila stormed to the porch, slamming the door. Elena followed, rain pattering. "Lila, talk to me. This trip is for healing, remember?" Lila's eyes glistened. "Healing? My life is falling apart back home. Dad's debts, Mom might lose the house. I came here to escape, not find more nightmares." Elena hugged her. "We're in this together." Night fell heavy, the storm raging. They barricaded the doors, playing cards by candlelight to keep Mia calm. But around midnight, as thunder boomed, a thud echoed from upstairs. Elena bolted up, grabbing the poker. "Stay here," she whispered to Lila, who nodded, pulling Mia close. In the hallway, the scratching returned, frantic now, from behind the attic panel. Elena approached, heart hammering. "Who's there?" Silence, then a low rasp. Breathing, ragged and human. She yanked the bookshelf aside, ladder trembling under her climb. In the attic, her light swept the partition. It shuddered, a voice murmuring indistinctly, "Mine, family." Elena froze, poker raised. Then, a heavy thud against the wood from the other side, like a body slamming close. The panel cracked, splinters flying. And through the gap, A shadowed face pressed forward, wild eyes locking on hers.
The attic air thickened with the storm's fury, rain lashing the dormer like claws on glass. Elena's flashlight beam trembled on the cracked panel, illuminating the face for a heartbeat, gaunt cheeks shadowed by a tangled beard, eyes hollow but sharp with desperation. Not a monster, not yet, but a man, real and terrifyingly close. He didn't lunge. Instead, he pressed his forehead to the splintered wood, whispering hoarsely, "Please, don't take it." Elena's grip tightened on the poker, her mind racing. Run? Yell for Lila? But her voice caught, the breathing sinking with the thunder. "Who are you? Get out! Now!" The man flinched, retreating a step into the dark. "This place, it's all I got." Harlan understood. Harlan. The name hit like lightning. Elena's thoughts flashed to the album, the letter, shadows of kin. "How do you know Harlan? Answer me." But another crack of thunder drowned her, and footsteps pounded below. Mia screaming, Lila calling her name. Elena backed down the ladder, slamming the panel shut and wedging the bookshelf against it. "Coming!" Downstairs, Lila had Mia in her arms, the radio crackling futilely. "What happened? We heard—" Elena cut her off, voice low. "Someone's up there, in the walls. We wait till morning, then get help." The night stretched eternal. The three huddled in the living room, fire dying to embers. Elena took first watch, poker in hand, ears straining. Mia whimpered, "Is it a ghost, Mom?" "No, baby, just a scared person. We'll be okay." Lila paced, whispering her fears. "This is like my family, hiding problems until they explode." To distract, Elena shared a memory of Mark, how he'd fix things with a joke and a hug. It eased the tension, but not the dread. Around 2 a.m., a soft scrape echoed from the kitchen. Footsteps. Elena crept over, finding the back door unlatched, swinging in the wind. On the floor, a small object glinted, a locket, silver and tarnished. She picked it up, heart sinking. Inside, a faded photo. The same young man from the album, with Harlan, but a third figure, a boy, who looked just like Elena's dad as a kid. "Family," she breathed. Was this Victor? The lost brother? Motive shifted in her mind, not random intruder, but tied to them. Grief twisted with pity. What drove someone to this? Dawn crept in gray, the storm ebbing. They packed a go-bag, planning to hike to the ranger station. But when Lila stepped outside, she froze. "Elena, look!" Footprints circled the cabin, fresh in the mud, leading to a loose board under the porch. Elena pried it up, revealing a dark crawl space snaking under the foundation. Damp earth, discarded cans, a makeshift bed of rags. "He's been here a while," Lila said, voice hollow. Mia covered her mouth. Elena radioed the station. "Intruder at the cabin. Send help, now!" The ranger promised a team within hours, but the isolation gnawed. They waited inside, barricades up, playing quiet games to soothe Mia. Elena examined the locket again, the photo's resemblance undeniable. If he's family, why hide? Why scare us? Lila shrugged. People break. Like my dad, lost everything, hid from us. Mid-morning, a new sound, tapping at the attic panel, rhythmic like Morse. Elena climbed up alone, poker ready. "Show yourself!" The partition shifted, the man's voice clearer. "Elena? Harlan's niece? I didn't mean Victor. I'm Victor." He slid the locket's twin through the crack. "Proof. Your blood." Shock rooted her. "Cousin?" The letter's warnings flooded back. Feud, disappearance. "Come out, slowly. We can talk." But paranoia flickered in his eyes through the gap. "They'll take me away. This is home." A branch snapped outside. "Ranger truck?" No, just wind. Victor's hand trembled.
Harlan hid me here once, after mistakes, theft, bad choices. He died, left it to you. I thought it was mine too. Elena's mind reeled, subplot unfolding. Harlan's death? Perhaps suicide from guilt, or worse. Tension peaked as Victor pushed the panel wider, emerging gaunt and filthy, hands raised. "Please!" Mia's scream from below shattered the moment, something thudding at the front door. Victor panicked, bolting for the dormer window. "No! Wait!" Elena lunged, grabbing his arm. They struggled, poker clattering, as he wrenched free and leapt into the underbrush. "Victor!" she yelled, racing downstairs. Lila and Mia pointed, footprints leading into the woods. They gave chase, branches whipping, hearts pounding. Victor stumbled ahead, a shadow fleeing. But at the trail's edge, he turned, eyes wild. "You don't understand. The real danger's coming back." Before Elena could respond, a distant siren wailed, "Help! Finally!" Yet as Victor melted into the trees, he dropped a final clue. A crumpled newspaper clipping from Harlan's trunk. Headline screaming, "Ranger's death. Accident or foul play?"
The chase through the dripping woods left Elena breathless, branches snagging her sweater like desperate fingers. Victor's form darted ahead, a fleeting ghost among the pines, but the siren's wail grew louder, anchoring her. "Stop! We can help!" she shouted, but he vanished around a boulder, leaving only trampled ferns. Leela caught up, Mia trailing wide-eyed. "Mom, what did he mean? Real danger!" Before Elena could answer, two rangers burst from the trail, uniforms mud-splashed, radios buzzing. "Ma'am, you the caller?" The lead, a burly woman named Reyes, took in their disheveled state. "Intruder confirmed. We'll sweep the area." They herded the family back to the cabin, securing it like a crime scene, yellow tape fluttering, questions firing. Inside, over hot cocoa to calm Mia, Elena spilled it all. The attic, the locket, Victor's claims. Reyes nodded grimly. "We've had reports, vagrant sightings up here. Harlan's place was known for squatters post his passing." Post-passing? The clipping burned in Elena's pocket. What about his death? Was it really an accident? Reyes exchanged glances with her partner. Official, fall in the woods, heart failure. But rumors. Harlan had enemies from old ranger days, poachers, land disputes. Elena's mind spun. Victor's warning echoed. The real danger. As the rangers searched, Leela found Elena in the kitchen, the clippings spread out. Foul play? Your uncle murdered? Elena traced the date. Last winter. Victor said, coming back. What if Harlan's death wasn't natural? And Victor, he's family, Lil. The photo proves it. Subplot unraveled in fragments. Victor, Harlan's younger brother, disowned after a botched robbery in the 80s, stealing from a local mine, injuring a guard. Harlan had sheltered him intermittently, guilt-ridden. The cabin's crawl space? Victor's bolt hole, discovered during Harlan's final illness. He wasn't harming us, Elena realized, just surviving. Isolation broke him. Mia overheard, hugging her knees. So he's like us? Lost? Elena pulled her close. Yes, sweetie, but scared people do scary things. Afternoon brought storm clouds again, trapping them as rangers combed the woods. Victor eluded them, but tracks led to an old mine shaft nearby, abandoned, dangerous. He's cornered, Rhea said. Elena volunteered to go. He's family. I can talk him down. Leela protested, too risky, but Mia's plea swayed her. Bring him home, Mom. The hike to the mine was tense, Elena flanked by Reyes, flashlight cutting the gloom. Rain started, turning the path slick. At the shaft's mouth, rusted gates ajar, a voice called weakly. Elena! Victor huddled inside, soaked and shivering. I didn't kill Harlan, swear it. He fell, arguing with me, blamed himself for my mess.
Elena approached slowly, poker left behind. "Then why run? Why scare my daughter?" Victor's eyes welled. "Thought you were thieves, come to sell the place. Harlan promised it would be mine if—" Paranoia, the Woods do that. He handed over a journal, Harlan's, detailing the feud, Victor's abuse-scarred past from their father's neglect. Twist deepened. No murder, but Harlan's heart gave out mid-confession, Victor fleeing guilt. Thunder cracked as Victor stood swaying. "Take me in! End this!" But panic flashed. He bolted deeper into the shaft. Elena lunged after, rangers shouting warnings. Darkness swallowed them, rocks tumbling. Elena grabbed his sleeve. "Stop! You're not alone anymore!" They tumbled together, landing in a shallow pit, bruised but alive. Victor sobbed. "Forgive?" Elena nodded, helping him up. Family helps family. Back at the cabin, rangers took Victor gently. Mental health eval, not cuffs, at Elena's tearful insistence. He suffered enough. Leela and Mia waited, relief washing over. But as Victor was led away, he whispered to Elena, "Harlan's journal. Read the end. The real secret's bigger." Night fell, the cabin secure. Elena cracked the journal's final pages by firelight. Harlan's confession. Not just Victor's shelter, but a hidden fortune from the mine. Buried resentment from a sibling rivalry that tore their parents apart. The danger Victor had meant, the greed it could unleash. Elena closed it, hugging Mia and Leela. "We're okay." But in the quiet, a distant rumble, not thunder, echoed from the woods. Something unresolved stirred.
The days following Victor's removal blurred into a haze of statements and sympathy. Rangers hauled in social workers. Victor, diagnosed with severe isolation-induced anxiety, entered a program in Denver. No charges, thanks to Elena's advocacy and the family tie. "He'll get help," Reyes assured her on the porch, packing gear. "Cabin's yours now. Seal that crawl space, though." Elena nodded, the locket heavy around her neck, a token from Victor, symbol of fractured bonds. With the storm cleared, sunlight bathed the woods, but the air held a new weight. Mia skipped rocks by the stream, her laughter a balm, while Leela sketched the mine shaft from memory. "This place changed us," she said to Elena that evening, stirring soup. "My stuff back home feels smaller now." Elena smiled faintly. "Yeah, facing ghosts makes you stronger." The journal's revelations had shaken her. Harlan's fortune was modest, stashed mining tools and deeds worth enough to fix the cabin, but laced with regret over disowning Victor. No foul play, just a life of quiet burdens. Elena burned the bitter pages in the fire, ashes swirling up the chimney. Let it go. They stayed the full week, turning trauma to tentative healing. Mia led family meetings by the fireplace, sharing dreams. Leela opened up about her dad's deaths, Elena promising support. Subplot wove tight. Elena contacted her aunt, mending old rifts, inviting Leela for good. "You're staying with us in Denver," she decided. Victor's shadow loomed, but as a cautionary thread, redemption through connection. Renovations started remotely. A crew sealed the crawl space, added locks, even a generator. Back home, Elena hung the locket beside Mark's photo, a bridge between losses. The cabin became their anchor, visits planned for fall colors. One crisp evening, months later, they returned. Mia raced to her room. Leela unpacked art supplies. Elena stepped onto the porch, breathing deep, the pines whispering welcome. Things felt normal or close, laughter echoing, secrets unearthed but buried anew. Yet as dusk fell, a faint scratch sounded from the distant woods, not the cabin, but the forest's edge.
Elena froze, peering into the trees. A deer or an echo of what lingered? She shook it off, calling the girls for dinner. Some shadows never fully fade, but light persists.